Meet the top 10 returning wide receivers in college football for the 2025 season. Here are some honorable mentions that just barely missed the top 10. First, I want to talk about Deion Burks, who didn't even play half the season in 2024. Burks is probably a top 10 wide receiver when healthy, but I didn't want to include him on a list since there was limited 2024 film on him. Same goes for Nick Anderson, who was also injured the whole season. He's another guy who is either in or right outside of the top 10 when healthy. Then there's Bryant Wesco Jr., who is just outside of my top 10. Wesco is an amazing deep threat who I think needs to work on his overall fundamentals of the wide receiver position, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him in the top 10 by the end of the season. Then there is Ryan Wingo. Wingo was pretty overshadowed last season playing behind Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond. However, now it's Wingo's turn to take over as wide receiver 1, and with Arch Manning throwing him the ball, he should have a very nice season. I think Wingo is actually way more talented than most wideouts on this list, just hasn't proven himself yet. But he should more than likely be top 10 before the year's over. T.J.Moore. Some of T.J.Moore's pros are his size to speed ratio, to go along with his great hands and body control, along with his pretty great route running and release package. He's got a lot of talent, just has to put it all together next season. Some things I want to see him work on, though, is his acceleration out of cuts to create more separation and his ability to start and stop quickly. If he can do better at those two things, then he has the ability to be even higher on this list. Overall, T.J. Moore had a great year 1 and should be even better in year 2. He's a freak athlete and one of the many great freshmen from the 2024 class. He's going to have a great QB throwing to him as well. So, I think T.J. Moore can easily be one of the top wideouts in the country in 2025. Kevin Concepcion. Concepcion is a RAC monster with great speed and burst. He's also very versatile, as he also took snaps behind the line of scrimmage at running back last season. He's also been one of the more productive wideouts over the last 2 seasons. Overall, I would like to see Concepcion's hands improve and see him stop catching as much with his body. I think he could also just improve overall his body control because at times he outruns himself. He has 1 or 2 years left and should be drafted pretty high, but I could also see him being a guy that slips. It all just depends on his next season at A&M with QB Marcel Reed. Eric Singleton Jr. Okay, so as an Auburn fan, I tried really hard while making these rankings to be as unbiased as possible. And this is right around where I thought Eric Singleton would rank before I watched his film. And all bias aside, let me just say I don't think I've ever seen a player as quick as Eric Singleton. His burst and acceleration is unmatched. It takes him straight up the snap of your finger for him to get to top speed. And he's also got very good top speed as well. I think the only player I've watched that has a faster top speed than him is maybe Ryan Williams, but I think Singleton has him in acceleration. With that being said, his speed, burst, and versatility to play any receiver role you want him to is his best attributes, along with his pretty solid release package. But I would still like him to improve at his receiver skills as a whole if he wants to make the jump into the elite category of receivers, which I think he can, mainly because Georgia Tech only really used him as a gadget player, which is probably cause of the QB situation. So, I want to see him be able to stretch the field better, vertically, not just horizontally. I also want to see him make more moves after the catch. He's got this explosiveness now. I want to see him make people miss with it. That's the thing that makes Ryan Williams so great, is that he can make anyone miss while going top speed, and that's what I want to see more from Eric Singleton. Overall, I think Singleton has first-round potential and could possibly be a top 3 wideout this year if everything goes right. Carnell Tate. While seeing how high I am on Singleton, that just goes to show how high I am on the receivers this year as a whole. The thing that separates the top 7 wideout from the rest is that they're overall more complete than the other guys, and there aren't many question marks about them. Starting off my top 7 with Carnell Tate. Tate is a very solid wideout and has NFL talent. He's got really good hands. He's a great route runner, fast, has a good release package, and good IQ, the things I want to see Tate improve on next year is mainly just consistency and overall production. There's many times when he gets lazy in his routes, which holds him back. Overall, Tate is one of the most talented players on this list, just has to put together and stay consistent. Production will come with that. He has the potential to be a first-round pick if he can put his talent all together. Antonio Williams. Antonio Williams is a very balanced wideout who is just good at it all. None of his skills stand out above others. He's just super good at everything. But that could also be because he's been playing through injuries, which may be holding him back. Overall, I would like to see him improve his route running and release against press coverage to see him jump to that elite level. Cam Coleman. Yet again, I'm trying to be the most unbiased Auburn fan I can be, and I think 5 is a fair ranking for Cam going into year 2. I have him at 5 because the things he does well, he does at an elite level, but then there are some things that are underwhelming from him as well, starting with the things he's good at. Cam is probably the best jump ball wideout in the country aside from the number 1 guy on this list. He's one of those guys where you just have to put the ball in his catch radius, and he can. Go get it. He's a good route runner with a good release package, and is probably the best at running the double move you will see. Some things he needs to improve on to be in that truly elite tier are his speed and his RAC ability, but mainly his quickness. Once he gets moving, he's pretty fast, but I want to see him get to that speed even quicker. Overall, I think Cam is a top 3 talent at the wide receiver position in the entire country. Just has to put it together, and better QB play will help him do that. I fully expect Cam to be top 3 by the end of the year, especially if he can play how he played in the second half of the year last season. First half of the year, he had his struggles, but second half of the year, Cam was almost unstoppable. Keep in mind this guy had 300 yards and 6 touchdowns in the last 3 games of the season last year. That's double the amount of receiving touchdowns number 1 and 2 on this list had combined in the last 3 games last year. Overall, I felt this was a fair spot to rank him, but he could be even higher. Evan Stewart. I am still a big believer in what Stewart can do. I think he's even more talented than the number 3 guy on this list, but Stewart is still yet to fully prove himself to be elite. I think he's an elite talent, but not an elite player yet. He's a very interesting player because he can really do it all even at his size. He can take a screen to the house, he can run routes across the middle, he can burn past you on a go ball. He can even go up and high point the ball on a goal line fade, which is so rare for someone his size. He has all of the talent, and more. He just needs to be more productive and more consistent. Honestly, he reminds me of a more talented Luther Burden. He's got the potential to be the number 1 wideout in his draft class, but he needs to put it all together this year. Jordan Tyson. Tyson is the first guy you can probably throw right at that elite tier. However, I think he's closer to number 4 and 5 than he is to 1 and 2. Right now, I like Tyson and think he's one of the more polished wide receivers going into this year, but could also still improve a little bit more. He has very strong hands, a great release package, good size to speed ratio, and he's a natural separator. The biggest things I want to see him improve at is his rack and agility to really bring his game full circle. But overall, one of the most complete guys going into the season. He has 1 to 2 more years and has a great QB throwing him the ball, so should have a pretty solid season. Ryan Williams. Let me just start by saying I don't understand all the hate Ryan has gotten on the field with people saying he only had 1 good game last season. No. He had 1 insane game, which also just so happened to be one of the days his QB could actually hit him. There were way too many times last season where Milroe was missing Williams when he was wide open, and his stats just don't do him enough justice. And that's crazy because his stats were pretty freaking good. He had 900 total yards and 10 touchdowns on 52 touches, which is crazy because those stats still don't paint the whole story. And let me also say that I think Ryan is closer to number 1 on this list than he is to number 2. His foot speed makes his releases and route running unguardable. Not to mention the fact he's almost impossible to tackle after the catch, and his ability to slam on the brakes at full speed is the best Eve's seen. The only thing I think he could do better is catching more with his hands instead of his body, which I think he can do easily. Keep in mind, by the way, just in case you forgot, he was a 17-year-old freshman. The only thing I'm worried about for his sophomore season is QB play, because I have heard a lot of mixed opinions about Alabama's QB room. Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all knew who was going to be number 1 on this list. Smith is the real deal, and the most talented player since probably ever. We all know what he's good at: elite hands, very strong, very, very fast for his size. That was probably the most surprising thing when watching him was his speed and his great body control. So let's get into his areas he can improve at. Overall, I want to see him just sharpen up his routes even more, not because he runs bad routes, but because I think he can run even better routes in terms of giving more left-right moves or right-left moves and actually getting the DB to jump the wrong direction. Right now, Jeremiah Smith just takes off, doesn't even try to fake where he's going, just gives one cut and then takes off. If he gets better at faking his routes and making the DB really have to guard him, then with his speed and power, he's probably going to end up leaving DBs in the dust even more than he already does. But in the end, it does not matter how much separation he has because he always seems to catch the football. The main thing I think Smith could improve at, though, is his releases. He seems to only really have 2 releases. One is run by you. The other is run through you, which against better man cover corners, especially good press man corners, it does not work as often. So I would like to see that out of him. But yet again, even when he does not get them with the release, he still finds a way to catch the ball. So I'm not sure this guy can even be stopped.